Congressman Poe, thanks for taking the time. I know a busy day up there today.
Glad to talk to you, Jenny.
You have several of the Democrats calling this contempt vote a political witch hunt, a charade. You called it a day of reckoning, a judgment day. What does this mean to you today?
The Justice Department, Eric Holder, has delayed and delayed and delayed giving Congress information that Congress is entitled to. 18 months after Brian Terry was murdered, the Attorney General still says he doesn't know who was responsible. He's had opportunity to give us the documents that's in his possession. They're lawfully were subpoenaed by Congress, and today is Judgment Day because he refuses to follow even a simple order of Congress.
You know, and you also pointed out that the Mexican government is more interested to find out what happened than our own administration. Instead, you have a White House and an AG who wants to make deals. They'll give you the documents as long as you call off the investigation. Is that what this has become, deal-making?
It's like the old days when I was a judge in the courthouse. What would happen, the person who's usually going to lose the case would try to work a deal on the courthouse steps to prevent a jury from hearing the case. And that's what's happened the last few days with the administration. And yes, the Mexican government, the Mexican Attorney General, has asked and wants that people responsible in the United States for this operation where a couple of hundred Mexican nationals died, she wants them extradited to Mexico to be tried in Mexican courts. That's how serious they are about Operation Fast and Furious, much more seriously concerned about the operation than even our own Attorney General, who claims he doesn't even know who made the decision to send the guns down to Mexico.
And you have a White House who invokes executive privilege. Who is Obama trying to protect, do you think?
I think he's trying to protect the Attorney General. It's interesting that the president criticized George Bush for when he was Senator Obama criticized George Bush for using executive privilege, and now here's what is occurring. He's using executive privilege. The most transparent administration in American history is not so transparent because they won't give us this information.
You know, and you've got the Democrats again standing there, and we've heard this before. If we really want to know what happened, we got to look at the Bush administration. We need to, why aren't we calling up the former U.S. Attorney McCasey with Operation Wide Receiver? Blame Bush, but how do you even compare the two?
Well, it's not a comparison. It's been one of the excuses for all of the problems in America has been with this administration, let's blame George Bush. And so Democrats are still doing that on Operation Fast and Furious. They want to blame him for it. Why don't we just get all the documents and see who is really responsible for Fast and Furious? But they don't want us to have the documents for some reason. What are they hiding?
So what do you accomplish today?
Well, today the House will vote to hold the Attorney General in contempt for failure to provide the information we're lawfully entitled to provide. We're here because of him, not because of the Republicans, but because the Attorney General refuses to comply with a lawful order. And I suspect that he will be held in contempt of Congress.
And then you've got Delegate Norton. She's saying, hey, if there's any doubt that this is about politics, all you have to do is look at the NRA and when the NRA got involved. And she claims, once again, we've heard this throughout the hearings, that the gun lobby is directly responsible for a gap in federal law, for not providing law enforcement tools with what they need. But what difference would those laws have made? I mean, isn't this about the ATF who encourage gun dealers to make sales to people they never would have made sales to?
Well, of course it's about the motivation of the whole Fast and Furious had nothing to do with tracking guns to see who used them in Mexico. It has everything to do with trying to have a political agenda of more gun control in the United States, either by executive order or by encouraging Congress to pass more gun control laws. That's the motivation of Fast and Furious, and I think the administration should make it clear that was their purpose, not trying to track these guns for any other reason.
We're hearing some 20 to 30 Democrats are going to break ranks and vote in support of this contempt. What are you hearing right now?
Well, we hear that there will be several that will vote to hold the Attorney General in contempt, but we'll see what happens and how much political pressure is put on them to toe the party line. It'll all come down to a vote today.
I mean, if you see that many breaking ranks, what does that say to the White House and to Obama? I mean, as far as I'm sure they're concerned. They've got constituents back home saying, "Hey, you know what? This is a White House we can't trust."
Well, if Democrats vote to hold the Attorney General in contempt, I think what they're doing is, look, we want the information. Just provide us the information. Let Congress then deal with whatever the truth is. And I think that's a wise decision on the part of Democrats who want an open and transparent administration.
Congressman, let's say the contempt vote passes. Then you've got a U.S. attorney in D.C. He's going to be called upon to bring this before a grand jury. But the bottom line is he works for Holder. So do you think he's really going to do that?
Well, it doesn't look credible to have the Justice Department prosecuting the Justice Department. That's why a special counsel should be involved. If Congress holds the Attorney General in contempt, a special counsel should be appointed to deal with the whole thing so that things are right and look right.
And you've seen it, and we heard that there's going to be members of the Black Caucus who are going to, protest and walk out during the vote. But, they say, and they had a press conference earlier this week, that this is about race, this is about voting rights. So for them, this isn't about Border Patrol Agent Brian Terry. Talk about a sad day.
Yes, there are some who are trying to change the topic. The topic is, why was our government involved in an operation where Americans and Mexican nationals died, were murdered? And let's get the facts of that. It has nothing to do about voter suppression. It has everything to do about how guns were smuggled to Mexico and our government helped out in it. So let's focus on the issue of today, and if they want to talk about other issues later, let's talk about those. But it's a diversion from the actual issue before us today, which is Fast and Furious.
And they say, hey, this is about documents. This isn't about gun walking. This isn't about, getting to the bottom of what happened. But if you don't have the documents, how can you know what happened?
That's right. They seem to be talking about the contents of the documents, but we haven't seen the documents. If the Attorney General was not involved or wasn't really responsible for it, well, produce the documents to show who was responsible for it. So just turn over the documents, let everybody, the Democrats, the Republicans, and the American public, see what were in those documents so that we can all figure out the absolute truth and the facts of this issue.
We're 18 months down the road. Did you think this is how it was going to end up?
No, I didn't. I always believed that the Attorney General would cooperate and turn over the documents. He has testified before Congress, but in each of the times he's testified, it seems to me he just wants to delay turning over the documents till the next time he testifies before Congress. So today's the day. It's Judgment Day. 2
votes, right? One on contempt and one on civil?
That's correct. And I suspect both of those will pass the House.
Where do you go from here? I mean, will this bring you any closer to getting the documents you really want and say you need?
Well, your point is exactly the point. We don't want to hold Attorney General Holder in contempt. That's not the goal. The goal is to get the documents, to find out what happened. So maybe this will get us those documents. That's the whole purpose. The contempt is brought on by the Attorney General by himself.
Right.
If he would just comply, we wouldn't be here. But we want the documents to find out what happened in Fast and Furious.
And we're talking about the security of our Border Patrol agents, and we've got an AG who himself has said, we will pay for years a huge price because of this Operation Fast and Furious.
That's right, and he testified before Judiciary last year in a question I asked him that more people are going to die because some of those guns are still in Mexico in the hands of who knows who. So it's a very tragic situation.